welcome to this episode of Cocktails, Tangents, and Answers with Rich and Caitlin.
Hi.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm feeling kind of squirrely, I think. But it should make for, I don't know. That's the only word that's the best adjective I have for you.
Like you just need to get up and
make for
dance,
an interesting
or...
conversation. Yeah, I got my party pants on. I'm ready for it.
Well, okay. Wow. I don't even know where to go with that. I've got no tangents for that. I'm wearing sweatpants again.
That, my party pants are actually just cute sweatpants from Target.
Yeah, I've got on sweatpants today. They're gray sweatpants because I am at home also at the moment.
Set. I'm really leaning into the match set of sweatpants. So I have this ensemble in 2 colors. And when one is dirty, I'm wearing the other one.
So is that lilac? Is that what color that would be?
I think it would be considered lilac. Yes. Yeah. It's one of my colors.
And what's interesting to me is these are the first sweatpants that I bought during the pandemic when we were halfway through it, and you guys all I somehow let on that
you into buying sweatpants.
Yeah, that I don't own sweatpants. I have flannel pajama bottoms and
we could not
linen pajama bottoms, but I don't have any sweatpants. And so I have 2 pair now. I have a gray and a navy, and the navy ones I will wear, but our dogs are white, and so there's just white hair all over them constantly. Yeah. The gray ones don't show it as bad.
I don't have that consideration at my house. It's not
no, you don't. You would be very stuffy and allergic and have hives.
I would die.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of blows my mind though, how comfy sweatpants are. So if it's chilly outside, which it kind of is today, when I get home from work, if I'm wearing jeans or dress pants or whatever I'm wearing, I will actually take them off and put on sweatpants.
Yeah, you will.
And if it's, oops, sorry, bumped my mic there. If it's warm outside, then I'll just come home and put on gym shorts or something because, sweatpants would be too much. But I think it's the equivalent of I love the joke that if a woman has come home and taken her bra off, you do not ask her to do anything. She has clocked out of life.
Correct. She's done for the day.
Yes. That is your signal.
No more tasks will be completed.
You want something from the fridge? Get it yourself. That thing needs picked up. You have 2 hands. You can pick those up. Yes, absolutely. I'm sounding like my mother now.
Well, she sounds great.
My mother's wonderful. You've met my mom, haven't you?
I haven't ever actually met her.
Oh, you must not have been in the office when she came for lunch that one day with my aunt. I don't think you were. That might have been. It wasn't. No, it wasn't your maternity leave. Maybe it was. I don't remember.
We weren't really. I don't know.
I don't remember. Well, you have to meet her.
The last 2 years, then we've. It's just a flat circle. I don't know what time means.
Yeah, I know Jesse and Jessica have met her a couple of times. And speaking of Jessica, this is her episode today. Again, another one. Yeah. We have locked her down in the chair and put a microphone in front of her and forced her to share and open up. I feel like this one, she was less resistant to this one because it's a much easier episode to do. So
why is it so much easier to talk about stuff we don't like?
I don't know. That's the thing. And we're doing these, stuff we like, stuff we don't like, and I'll do mine eventually and you'll do yours eventually. And part of me is the stuff we don't like ones, should we even air those? They're so negative, but they're not super negative.
We actually toe the line between being shitting on people and also just being hey, you shouldn't do this because it's annoying. It's a helpful.
Or it's
we're not trying to be jerks. We're just
or this thing is great
up
in this situation, but the way people are using it now, it's super annoying and wrong, and you shouldn't do that. It's bad. But I also think that people will either
why you shouldn't.
Yeah, we do usually get into it. I think people will either agree or disagree with these, and maybe we'll get a lot of comments. Maybe we'll get hate mail.
Polarizing? Are we polarizing?
I mean, our contact information comes in at the end of the episode. Feel free to send us a voicemail.
Will not be polarizing. Everybody loves sweatpants. That is a platform that we can all unite behind.
I feel like there's somebody out there, much like there's a Yahoo group for everything.
You don't like sweatpants. Can you let me know why?
someone is out there.
I would like to understand you more.
I mean, I've had friends who didn't even wear jeans. The most casual thing they ever wore were khakis. Like that was as casual as it got. And it went up from there.
So restrictive.
Yeah, it's like, and I think that's the thing about sweatpants. Like, you can just do anything. Like, if I could do the splits, I could do the splits. My pants would be fine.
Your pants would not split.
They wouldn't. So I'll be curious to hear what Jessica hates. I know some of it. Obviously, I've worked with her for quite a while, almost 5 years, I think. I feel like she has an anniversary coming up.
That feels right.
But I think she's at 4 right now, maybe. I'll have to look. I mean, it's in the HR system and I have it on my calendar, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Right. You don't have all of our start dates memorized?
No, I don't.
That's shocking.
I have mine memorized only because it was January 1st. Because
I was like, wasn't it like a very distinct day?
It was a legal document that this is the day that I became a part of the company. It's also easier if you're changing states to make your day, if you're able to, like on the first of the year, because then you don't have to pay taxes in 2 states.
Fiscal year.
You just have to do it in one state,
That's
which
smart.
is nice.
That's smart.
Yeah, so I mean, things I hate: paying taxes. I probably should get all that stuff to our accountant so that I can get that done. We do have an extension, so it's not a huge deal, but I do need to do it at some point and not wait till October.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough time to get into like the benefits of taxes and like why, yes, they're a bummer to pay, but also it's good to pay them.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we pay we pay property taxes. We have no children. We pay property taxes. A lot of that goes to schools, which is fine because I want to hire smart people. I don't want to hire dumb people, and I need a school system that will educate them. So I'm perfectly fine. Yes, I'm perfectly fine for the benefit of society paying those taxes.
Right.
Now, if they're excessive, I will complain a bit, but I don't mind paying them at the moment.
You're just like the guy at the city council meeting that's like, show me the receipts. And then when like the receipts are justifiable, no, you're not going to city council.
I don't have time to that. I don't have time to go to the meeting or ask. And I don't have time to sift through receipts. If you gave them to me, I'm not going to read them. It's just not going to happen.
You're just trusting your local elected officials, which I think is valuable. Yeah.
I try. Yeah. I mean, I vote, so I have a say in that. So I try to, vote for people that I think will do the right thing. We'll see.
Like upstanding citizens.
I know. We're just so great. So if you haven't voted, vote. But when it's time, not like randomly, you kind of have to go in and only do it once. That's important as well. Now, when I lived in Chicago, I moved neighborhoods and I went and voted in my new neighborhood and I changed my registration. And it was still an in-person thing. And like you had to go sign the book and they had to find your name and everything. And you signed by your name. And, when I was talking to my old roommate who lived in the old neighborhood and he's like, when I went in, your name was still on our roster as well. And I'm like, well, there you are, Chicago, vote early, vote often. A little bit odd. I mean, and I do know that like, had I tried to vote in both precincts, they would have invalidated one and I probably would have been visited by the police because it's illegal. But it was just odd to me that it's like, okay, so you could add me to the one, but you couldn't remove me from the other. It feels like those things should happen at the same time. But things I hate, inefficiency. I'll save that for my redundancy. Yeah, save that for mine. So for Jessica, we do not have a specific cocktail for her, but I have one to share because it's inspired by one we did the other night. So what I'm going to share is fairly complex.
It's a belaboring drink, I think. You got to be in it for the long haul. Is the payoff, is the juice worth the squeeze?
I think it is with this one. And it goes in a coupe glass, Caitlin. So I feel like that right away means that it is. So this is a blood orange martini, but it's more than just blood orange and vodka.
Interesting that it's blood orange martini in a coupe glass.
Yeah, because it is. Oh, it's actually not vodka. Excuse me. This is a gin martini. My bad.
Yes, it is.
My bad. So for this one, it has rosemary syrup, which they recommend you make yourself. And it's not hard to do. You just basically make a simple syrup on the stove and throw some rosemary in it.
It smells like Christmas.
It does. It'd be beautiful. So then you juice a couple of blood oranges. You can get those at your supermarket. They're actually in season, usually in the early spring or into the April, May time period. Excuse me. Then this is 2.5 ounces of gin, plus 1 teaspoon. Gosh, I don't know why that is. Just, you know what? Just throw 3 ounces of gin in the thing. You'll be fine.
That seems right.
4 teaspoons of the syrup, 3 ounces of the orange juice, and then a teaspoon of Campari. So I would just call that a splash, right? Like you just go bloop.
Yeah, that seems right. Yeah, like a little bloop.
And then you do an egg white. So
I was gonna say, isn't this one's like shaken with an egg white, right?
This one has an egg white. So you put all that stuff in a shaker and you shake it. And then when you pour it in, the egg white foam will rise to the top and be on top of it. And we talked earlier, it's basically meringue. It's like on top of your drink.
Well, it makes it like light and foamy and pleasant.
Yep. So one of the things that I think can help shortcut this is with simple syrups, you can make them in advance and you can save them for a while. You just pop them in the fridge. And so you could make a bunch of that.
Yeah. Sugar is also kind of a preservative. Did I make that up?
No, I think that's true. And I go back and forth on whether simple syrup has to be in the fridge or doesn't have to be in the fridge.
Oh, we keep ours in the fridge.
We keep ours in the fridge too. So you can make that ahead of time. And then the drink is super easy. You just juice a couple of blood oranges into your thing, throw in some gin, about 3 ounces, a little bit of the rosemary syrup, a splash of Campari, and 1 egg white. Honestly, separating the egg white then becomes the hardest thing in this entire drink. And then shake it. Oh, and garnish with a sprig of rosemary, which, by the way, will also make your fingers smell good. You'll smell piney on your fingers. So that's probably more of I would do that if people were coming over and I wanted to impress them. If I was doing that at home, what I would do is I would probably squeeze the blood oranges and throw some gin in there and the splash of Campari and maybe float a sprig of rosemary and call it good.
Yeah. Do you not like the egg white, or it's just like the extra?
It's just an extra step. And like the rosemary simple syrup, it's like I could do, I think in a previous episode, we talked about clapping the mint.
Yeah.
Could you clap the rosemary and then drop it in the drink? And that would probably release some of the oils, right? Because it's the pressure on it.
Probably. But I think there's like the infusion of the rosemary is probably more intense if you heat it up. I don't know.
But I feel like I would get a hint of it. And that would be good. But anyway, we'll have the recipe on in the notes of this episode. So you can grab it. The other thing that we've done is we had some extra blood oranges. So we just made blood orange margaritas, which was quite literally, we just did the blood orange juice instead of the lime juice. So blood orange, a little bit of, actually a lot of tequila, as I'm told.
A little
bit of Cointreau. And then we did squeeze like a little lime wedge into it. So we had a little bit of that lime.
A lime really, it just brings a little brightness, lightness to the party.
And those were super fast. Not as fast as my Trader Joe's jalapeno lime margarita.
That's just cheating.
It is cheating, but it's also really good when you're in a hurry. What I haven't done though yet is just empty the jar, pour out half of the jar of lime juice, jalapeno lime juice, and then just put the tequila, fill the rest of the jar with tequila so that I can just shake it and pour it, and I don't even have to mix anything.
You could also put it in your cocktail maker and shave ice over it if you wanted a slushie.
I could do that. Interesting. So blood orange martini with gin, as we were talking about. You'll notice a gin theme that's been happening a lot, probably through these. I think about half of these have been gin.
My greatest achievement, honestly.
It really is. If you ask Caitlin what her success has been for the last 2 years, it would be that she's gotten several of us to drink gin. And
I would like some sort of certification denoting my gin ambassadorship. That's what I'd like. Okay, certainly not gym ambassadorship. That's not true. Gin.
Maybe I'll get you a sword with gin ambassador engraved on it. I know you would freak. I'm not going to do that. I don't know if I
need a sword. I think like a nice, or just like a hand forged chef's knife. That would get a lot of use at my house.
I think. What about You could get a martini shaker that has gin ambassador on, like engraved on it. That would probably be a good thing.
Can I just tell you that when you say martini shaker, there is a drag queen in my area whose name is Martina Shakers, and that's what I think of when you say martini shaker.
I don't know her, and I really don't know her, but I would like to, it sounds like.
She's delightful.
Interesting. Yeah. Martina Shakers.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, my favorite is like Kitty Latour. I didn't know when they named that. There's several out there that are jokes, and there's others. And then you run into them and you're like, oh, somebody actually did that. That's fantastic.
I have one of my cousins does drag, and her name is Honeybee, Bea, which I think is really cute.
Honeybee. Mm-hmm. Oh, that is really cute.
Right? She's cute too.
We've really turned this into a very sweet opening for what's probably going to be a slightly sour episode with things Jessica hates. Bum, bum, bum.
Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back. Jessica, tell me, we're here to talk about the things that maybe you don't love so much.
Hate is the word you're looking for.
10 things she hates about marketing.
It's not 10. It's like
it's 5,
6, maybe.
But
I don't know.
The first one that didn't, the unofficial hate, is an icebreaker, and so I really want to ask you,
don't.
I know, because you'll just leave.
You'll get that'll be the one.
End of this episode.
I hate one thing. Icebreakers. Goodbye.
Shortest episode ever.
You and leave.
I'll see you tomorrow.
She will not be talking about dinner guests she'd like to have over,
no.
Dead or alive,
favorite foods,
what kind of tree she would be.
Favorite food is okay.
It's a Caesar salad.
Chicken Caesar salad with a lemonade.
That's my go-to with like some popcorn. I could live on it. Caesar salad with chicken, lemonade, and popcorn.
Although you love a good fajita.
I do.
With guac. Now we're gonna.
Who doesn't get the guac?
Well,
depends where you at. It's free.
If it's free, you get the guac. In some places,
don't go to places that charge you extra for guac.
Heads up, like we have a thing for Chili's. Also, we're open to sponsorships. And Chili's, the guac is free. You just have to ask. They won't charge you for it.
Yeah.
There's your tip for the day. That's going to save you money.
You're welcome.
Now you'll be able to buy a house. All right. So Jessica hates icebreakers, though that's not on her list.
It's not. But that's not like marketing specific. That's just in life.
You're right.
Yeah.
It can be marketing related, but more often than not, it's like, I'm at a conference or at this training and I want to kill you because you asked me this stupid icebreaker.
But I think, I think
I would leave.
You like to listen. You'll listen.
Yeah, but listening to icebreakers is even painful because nobody likes an icebreaker except for you, Caitlin.
I was like, not nobody.
You are the exception to this rule.
We've got a couple of people who like them, but it's 2 out of 12.
Yep. The odds are not in your favor of getting somebody to like an icebreaker.
No.
We digress.
That's kind of the point.
It is.
The name.
It's the name, yes, along with those cocktails and some answers. This is less answers and just more sympathy, I think, because I feel like these are going to be relatable for a lot of people.
Is there in no particular order?
Which one do you want to kick off with first?
Let's see. Let's start with kind of an easy one that I think a lot of people would relate to. It's having too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So when there's not a clear decision maker, or that decision maker doesn't actually have the authority to make the decisions. Those are my favorite. It's a real detriment to a project or a campaign or the work that you're trying to do, and it can impact your company's goals.
Yeah. It can impact their budget too. It can get very expensive if you have too much back and forth. And I think people are shocked at how fast that adds up.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's like, well, go hire an attorney and then just keep those meetings going and watch how that adds up.
Ask another inane question that we've answered once already and watch us just keep going. Sorry.
Just to roll right off that though, the attorney point, I hate it when people don't see marketing in the same vein as other professional services and how you're paying for our time and our brains, and you pay by the hour a lot of times. And people do that with attorneys and accountants all the time, but with marketing, it's just unheard of.
Yeah. I do want to, before we get too far off of it, I agree 100% with that, but I want to go back to your first 20 minutes in the kitchen because I have a great big Ogilvy story. So there's this legendary thing, and I don't remember what the client was, but David Ogilvy, back when he was running the agency and alive, I guess, because he was not.
Step one, be
He's
alive.
been gone for a while. But he went into a meeting, and there was a group of like 5 or 6 executives on the other side of the table. And he put a bell in the middle of the room, and he said, so in this meeting, so we don't waste any time, if at any point either you or we, it's a no-go, we're done, we can't work together, ring the bell, and the meeting's over, and we'll know that we just can't work together. And they're like, oh, okay, like that's an interesting thing, like kind of creative. First question out of his mouth is, as we get into working on your business, who will be the decision maker? And they said, all of us. He rang the bell, picked up the bell, and took his team and left.
Wouldn't that feel great?
Yeah,
Gosh.
it would be. Well, he knew that it was setting them up to fail. If you have 5 people making a decision, it doesn't work. Like,
Nope.
in our house, 2 people can't make a decision on where we go to dinner. Like, one person just has to.
Why do we
push
have to
that
eat
through.
every day? That's what I need
Meal
to know.
planning is exhausting when
That's-
you're going out, when you're
That's another-
cooking.
yeah.
No one
Rules
tells
for
you
a
that.
different day.
Like, when you're adulting, like, nobody says the worst part of adulting is going to
You
be
have to
figuring out what to eat
every day.
I've seen this meme quite a few times, and it's like, I'm waiting for mom to tell me what's for dinner. And then I realized I'm the mom.
It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and that does happen.
You have
But
to
I mean-
feed the tiny humans.
Well, yeah, because there's that
Even
piece.
yourself, but like I could eat popcorn and red wine for dinner
Yes.
every night.
We used to
That's
do it all the
not
time. Either
appropriate
popcorn
dinner
or
for
like
18
chips and
months old.
salsa.
So we had popcorn last night. Brian decided he wanted to make popcorn, and we were just watching TV. And I'm like, "Do you want wine with your popcorn? Because who doesn't?"
Yes.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yeah, go pick something out." And so downstairs, and I came back with a Bordeaux, and he's like, "Oh, Bordeaux and popcorn." I'm like, "It'll
Yeah.
work. It's fine. We're going to do it." And it was fantastic.
I bet it was delicious.
I just had a little bit of chocolate with it, which helped. But yeah, that whole like deciding what to eat for yourself, which is pretty easy. Like, I will just eat crap, or I will eat something simple. But for other people, and then like you create other humans, which you both don't, and now you got to figure out what to feed those other humans, and they have their own opinion about what's going into their mouth or what's not.
And it needs like the schedule rigidity. Like you can't explain to them that like 5 more minutes because like their little lizard brains are like,
Unacceptable.
now dinner is now.
It's unacceptable.
So quite literally, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes.
Not enough cooks.
It
because
works.
Like
Like I said, it's going to be relatable because everybody's experienced it.
All the wrong cooks in the kitchen. I would like out of the kitchen.
I would
somebody
like a
send me
chef in my kitchen.
Right?
You just tell me what the groceries are. I will buy them. And then you do the things. So I would like any cook in my kitchen. That would be preferable for me.
I'm with you on that. Maybe we could get like a rotating chef that like goes around from one house to the other and like makes food for us.
Yeah.
I like it.
We'll see. We'll work on that. Get those people to pay those hourly overages.
Right.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you said about paying hourly and like clients not understanding that our service is valuable. I think we've fired most of those people by now. Like there might be a handful left.
I think we have a lot of clients who recognize that.
and appreciate it.
I think that we've gotten good, and we're really great. This is a different episode now of figuring out clients that mesh well with how we run our business and trying to find, commonalities in that way. So yes, we have kind of weeded out some of the people that don't get it, but every now and then you get one and you're like, no, but you bill the same way.
Yeah.
This isn't hard.
I do wonder if that is tied in any way to like the creative thing where it's like, oh, you just like pop it in. You just like make an ad or you just like design a poster and they are not seeing the labor and pre-process and brief and all of the work that goes into just making a poster or, that lack of, awareness of what goes into the creative side of things.
Yeah, I mean, there's the timepiece, and there's also just understanding, like, we're also a business. Like, we have expenses. We have offices.
We're not doing this just for the fun of it. Like, we like each other a lot, but if I didn't have to pay my bills, I wouldn't be here. Sorry, guys.
Well, you might be here.
That's true. We are, yeah. But I might be here in my home bar, but here in a more global sense of work. Yeah.
All right. So
that's a meaty one.
Yeah.
It stands out.
It's
I think
kind
it's
of
actually
two.
sort of two.
Yeah, it was kind of two. So we'll say it was two. Yay, go us.
What else you got?
I would say something like that really is kind of irritating because nobody would appreciate it is when someone calls with a quote unquote emergency.
Oh, I love an emergency call.
At like 10 to 5 on a Friday. But like not once every year, like once every month. Like it's not an emergency and you knew about this yesterday.
Oh, sometimes they knew about it 2 weeks ago. And I've been there as a client where I'm like, oh God, this thing that I've been putting off, now I need someone else to do it.
Yeah.
And I will always.
But again, how often, Rich? How often was it?
It wasn't very often. And I would always start with, I am the worst human being and client ever.
I know that I'm a terrible client right now, but I really need your help.
And I can hear them rolling their eyes on the other end, like, oh God, what's this one this time?
That is a nice way to put it, though.
The part where you're an idiot,
right?
Yeah.
You were very aware. It's when they're not aware.
I think because I've done agency and client work, it makes a big difference. And I also sometimes get the client point of view, and I try not to like push that too hard because I know that like it's like, but the client might be thinking this, and it's like, well, then they need to say that. They need to tell us that.
They should say that.
Use your words.
Yeah.
But yeah, those last minute things are just.
And it's so hard because we have this in common. Like when you're a pleaser, when you're like, oh, but I
have to know.
Yeah.
But then also going back to my loves that we already talked about, solving the problem isn't something that I can necessarily do by myself, right?
Yeah.
So I have to involve a bunch of other people. So then I'm the asshole that's like, hey, I need something before you can leave for the weekend. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that. And then that also then dovetails back to the hours. Like 3 people in a meeting is 3 times the hours. Like, so if we need to have all these people here, if we don't, that's great. And if we can plan ahead, we can have fewer people involved and get the right people in the right spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rough one. And I really try not to do that, especially to you guys. So I hope I don't.
No. That's one thing I will say, and we can talk about this in another moment, but like we're pretty respectful of our time internally, where it's like it's 5:00 and we know
well, it's funny because my husband will joke when my click notifications go off on the weekend. I'm like, what are you working? I'm like, no, we're just talking about dinner. We're talking about all kinds of fun stuff. We're very rarely talking about work.
I actually found something I wanted to share and then I didn't. It's still on my phone.
You're saving it.
It was like a Sunday morning and I'm like, I'm not going to fire this over on Sunday morning. But then I forgot on Monday to even put it in there. It was just a funny thing that I found. So I think it was like a cigarette ad from like the 70s. So it was just ridiculous. But anyway.
Other things that I hate. When the agency is held to a different standard than the client's like internal team. Like if there is a deadline and we are all working as a group, like agency and client together as a team to hit a deadline, and we internally are hitting ours, but then things are getting like drug or changed last minute, too many cooks in the kitchen, you know, it just delays everything. But if we were late because we were just dragging our feet on making a decision, it would be completely different. So like we need to work together and work as a team.
Yeah, and that's something I've never seen solved on client side or the agency side. The client side, you really just have to power through it and push it and run it like an organization. I was at one client that I was at, we had a project management team and they were all certified PMPs. And they like would crack a whip if you were late on anything. And I got one and I'm like, I want you to come in and my team. And I want you to crack the whip, not only on my team people, but on me. Cause like, I'm going to forget or not do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is frustrating when everybody's trying to move together. And, you know, it's like, what's that old saying? Poor planning on your part does not necessarily constitute an emergency on my part.
Yeah, your emergency is not your urgency is not.
But as a people pleaser, it is my emergency now.
Like we really do try to succeed for clients, but there's some places we just can't cut corners. And it gets really, really hard.
I think as we've like developed our process and have gotten more agile or more comfortable with what we're doing, and maybe this is just me personally, we're able to more efficiently define at the outset. Like when a client says we have to go to print on this day, like I just did this last week where I was like, I'm sorry, knowing you, it's not going to happen.
You can't.
We can't work like that, and your approval processes are too slow. So we'll have to address the timeline.
And I think that's what's great about when a client comes to you and says, like, a really self-aware, like, marketing manager or client or whoever would be able to say, like, look, I know that it's going to take us 10 business days to get anything approved internally. Build that into your timelines. And then when they come and say, I want to produce this thing in 5 days, you're like, except where are the 10 days for you to do it internally?
And then they're usually like, no, it doesn't take that long.
We'll get it done quicker.
And then you can point to like 3 years of history that says otherwise.
Okay.
Like, well.
But yeah, being self-aware about that. And I think that it's really great on us to help point that back and say, we've been doing this for a while with you, and we know that you can't do a 24-hour turn. And we've had some new clients that wanted to launch a website quick, and we said you have to do a 24-hour turn, and they do it.
Yeah, some people are great at it. They can do it. They know their own limitations, and some people just are not honest with themselves.
I'm one of those people. Well, that's another episode.
Introspection.
That's when Rich starts talking about timelines.
Is there like one?
Yes, like, I definitely have one more.
Yeah.
And it's fragrance ads. Because they're terrible and they're pointless and nobody understands them and nobody remembers what your fragrance is. And I can't smell it through the TV. So just stop doing it. It's a waste of money.
You can't smell that shirtless man in linen pants rising up out of the water, but then he's not wet at all.
Right. It's a waste of money. They're paying these very high dollar actors to be in these commercials. It's a waste of money. Stop wasting your money. And that is the end of my rant. On fragrance ads.
So many questions.
Jessica says, get on the shelf at Sephora and people will find it.
I mean, somebody will. It might be a teenage girl, but
design a really banging box, and that's how you're going to sell your stuff.
Right.
It's not through a TV ad.
Nobody's going to remember
Pete Davidson
holding this fancy little bottle of fragrance on the commercial during Modern Family.
Davidson has to be when SNL mocks. Although you can't tell they're mocking.
No,
sometimes
because a fragrance ad seems like it's fake. You're like, this is not real.
Yeah.
This is real?
It's real.
I know. I've always thought there's some of those that come
$500,000 real.
We're going to cut away, and it's really a Geico ad. Like, it's not really, and then it's like, oh God, they're really selling this to me.
This is what they paid for. All right.
I want to look up studies and see who is actually influenced by fragrance ads to buy the fragrance. Now, the ones in magazines that you used to be able to buy.
When people bought magazines,
Now my stuff's all digital. The website doesn't, I can't rub my wrist.
A little scratch and sniff.
But yeah, that would be interesting. But I would agree with you 100% on that one. Fragrance ads are so annoying.
I just see.
I want somebody to write in and be like, I love them. I need to know who loves them.
Right, and why? Please.
Right.
It's a short answer question. Please tell us that you love them and also why.
Both fields are required.
Yeah, so there'll be contact information in all seriousness in the closing. So
let us know.
Send us a note about why you love a fragrance ad.
And if you send us a recording, we might play it on the next episode.
I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
Jessica might be back to tell you why you're wrong.
I would never. I'll think it, but I would never tell you.
It out loud. Until we force you in an icebreaker or podcast episode. Thank you so much for being here.
Anytime.
We appreciate it.
This week's quick tip will help you be the project manager's favorite. When working with an agency, make sure you have a clear decision maker in the group. Too many cooks in the kitchen will affect your budget and timeline negatively.
That's it for another episode of Cocktails, Tangents, and Answers.
We hope you enjoyed listening. We enjoyed recording and this week's cocktail.
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Rich Mackey. I try not to make it too difficult. It's just my name. And you can find our agency at Antidote_71. That's ANTIDOTE_71 on Twitter and Instagram as well.
And you can find me at home sipping a craft cocktail prepared by my in-home bartender. Is my husband.
We'll be back next week with another episode and a whole new cocktail recipe, plenty more tangents, and of course, answers to those pressing marketing questions.
And if you'd like to send us a question, you can go to ctapodcast.live to get in touch.
Or you can call our hotline at 402-718-9971 and leave us a voicemail. Your questions might be used for future episodes of the podcast.
For now, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.